What we're going to do now is remove these center pin felts, and I've removed one and put it in a bag so I have it as a measurement tool. You can see these pins are kind of corroded. They'll clean up, I'm sure. If not, I can replace them. But most of the time you can bring them back. So what I do to get rid of these is to I'm going to need one more plastic bag. Now, I have an interesting story. The first piano that I did, and I was working on these, I had a little trouble getting Steinway felts new for a variety of reasons, and I went to a technician who was a real nice guy and told him I needed him, and he gave me about enough for half the piano, and he said, you know, I had somehow lost like 8 of them and I was going to reuse them, and he said, you know, you can't tell the difference between new and old when it's on the piano. Well, I hammered the felts before I put them in to pre-squish them, and you could tell on the piano like night and day where it went from the old felt, because this is really the center position of the key right here. When you know, the key totters like this, like a teeter-totter, it totters right on that pin, and it makes a very, very noticeable difference. With a new one, you get a softer sound to the piano. You'll find that new felt, when they're put in properly, the piano will have a much better feel and a much softer sound. Those old pianos, all of them have that harsh metallic sound, and it's a combination of old felts and bad voicing, which is, voicing is what you do to the hammers to soften them up with a needling tool, and we will be looking at that down the pike. And but anyhow, somebody tells you you don't have to replace the felts. I don't know of any pro shop in the country that would reuse felt anywhere on the piano. Maybe an internal piece. There's a piece of felt under the green one, and that really doesn't matter too much. You could leave that if you wanted, or you could replace it. They usually look pretty brand new. The good news is I haven't really come across a loose pin yet. And you can see that it's easy for me to, this rail here has a curvature, so it's pretty easy to get this under it and bring it up. But you do not want to be scratching the, you know, the pin. If you can at all help it, you just want to just get it up and slightly push it off. See? This is very typical for the work on old pianos. It's just kind of slow go and, you know, repetitious. So there's a reason. There's you know, 85. This is a 85 key piano, and 1883 Model A was a 85 key piano. The Model A, which is a 6-footer, was a smaller version of a B, which was their bigger piano. I believe at the time it was probably about 7 feet. So this was sold as a, you know, something a little smaller for a home. And just so you know, the size of your home does impact what a given piano, how it's going to do in your house. If you have one that's way too big for a small home, it's going to put out more sound that you're going to be very happy with. So pianos, there is, you know, such a thing as getting one that's sized well for your home. Although I'm talking Steinway now. If you had a Bosendorfer, those have a quieter tone. You could have an Imperial even in a house like this, which actually is my long-term plan. But I never throw anything away. away. I'm always hanging on to it. I don't know what this gook is. It looks to me like it's mouse poop, but I could be wrong. I'll wear some respiratory safety gear when I vacuum and scrape it. And I'll also use a HEPA vac, HEPA, which is much finer particulate particle removal, a little safer around stuff that's old. This is old spores, mold spores, or whatever goes on here, and you can get sick. This is not too dirty yet, but it will be as soon as. Now again, these spacers, paper spacers, are sold in a kit from the manufacturer. I recommend you use Steinway parts. I have not had good luck with other parts that were made by other people. As a rule, I try to keep it Steinway if you can do it. They do still make, and you can see, these pieces of paper just disintegrate really when they come off. They're very weak. And I will come here. I wear rubber gloves, you've noticed, to keep my hands clean. I don't want this stuff on me. I don't want it touching my skin. And just kind of tear it. I wouldn't normally reuse a very thin spacer, but I might reuse a thicker one if I got into trouble. I could use it low and then come in with fresher pieces of paper higher. Really doesn't change the effect of it. Okay, that completes this part. Now, so I'm going to straighten the pins another time. The next thing is I'm going to start scraping it and vacuuming and put on safety gear here.